ionic bonds. Ionic bonds are also polar bonds. Ionic bonds are bonds between two atoms where one atom gives up his or her or its or their outside electron or outer electron to the other one. It might be more than one, but in this case, it's one electron in the valence shell, the outer shell of sodium. Sodium has 11 electrons. That's the same number of protons that sodium has. But because the inner shell or energy level, the inner shell for electrons is full at 2 always. The next shell is full at 8, but he has one more. Well, it floats in its own shell, and that becomes the valence shell. Comes along chlorine, who has 7 electrons in the in the valence shell, and there is room for one more electron. So chlorine has 17 protons inside and has 17 electrons. The first shell is full with the 2 electrons. The next shell is full with 8 electrons, giving or leaving 7 electrons to fill up the valence shell, the outer shell. But it is really not full until it reaches 8. So you have 2 inner shell electrons, 8 next shell electrons, 7 valence shell electrons. When you put these 2 atoms together, they create an ionic bond because it changes them into ions because they do not share equally. This is just like polar covalent bonds. But in this case, they're not sharing. Sodium actually just gives it right up. Says, fine, take my wallet, take my electrons inside my outer shell. And then in this case, sodium only has 1 electron. It goes right over here, fits perfectly right into that spot that chlorine needs to fill. So then what do you get? You get a sodium ion and a chlorine or chloride ion. So you get a positive sodium ion and a negative chlorine ion. If you remember, and if you don't, that's all right, we're about to talk about it. There are 2 terms for ions. The word ion is the umbrella term, but the positive ion gets the name cat. The negative ion gets the name an. A cation is an atom that has more protons than electrons. Okay? An anion is an ion or an atom that has more electrons than protons. So you could think of it this way. An ion, a negative ion, an ion. And for cation, you could think of it this way, that T for plus. Okay? Oops, I didn't finish that word very well. I apologize. Okay. So, cation has a T for positive. Positive means more protons because what are protons? Positively charged particles. What are electrons? Negatively charged particles. So a negative ion, anion, is an ion or an atom that has more electrons than protons. Cations are ions or atoms that have more protons than electrons. Now, ionic bonds are bonds that are actually not very strong. They're not very strong, but instead of sharing, what happens is sodium just gives it up and lets chlorine have it. Take my electron, take my wallet, don't hand it back. I don't want it. But I'm going to stay close to you, though. I'm going to stay close to you. I'm going to keep an eye on my electron. So they stay together, but they're not really technically sharing. He kind of just gives it up. But because they are still bonded, because sodium sticks around to say, yo, 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 I'm going to watch out for my electron, then it's still a bond, and it's polar because you have more positivity here, more negativity over here. So it's kind of the same thing about the toddlers not sharing equally, just like with the polar covalent bonds. Let's step back and let's review really quickly. We have 3 bond types on the board. Polar covalent bonds, non-polar covalent bonds, ionic bonds.